Hi, everybody. My name is John Connor. I'm a product manager and I run the live operations over at Upland. And today we are interviewing Lefthouse, who is the host of the Upland Action News and also a filmmaker, musician, and visual artist. We are interviewing Lefthouse as part of the Artist Spotlight, where we'll be highlighting some of his wonderful NFT art. And in a collaboration with the Upland design team, we'll also be releasing some very select explorers that are based on Lefthouse's art and also auctioning them off as well. So Lefthouse, wonderful to see you today. How are you doing?
I couldn't be better. I could not be better. Very happy to be here.
Cool. And just as a little bit of a spoiler, we have in the background here some of the NFT art that Lefthouse is producing for this Artist Spotlight and auction. So you can see it in action right now. It's some very cool effects. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But to get us started, Lefthouse, can you let us know, how did you start creating NFT art in the first place?
I think I started creating NFT art by mistake, but like on purpose at the same time. Like I didn't even know, I guess, I didn't know I was doing it, but then I guess we've been doing it for a little while, and then it just became like NFTs, if that makes sense. Like, I've been like trying to distribute art digitally for decades now. So I just, there was just different terms for it or whatnot, but this is like I don't know. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, I think, as of right now, because it seems like it brings all of my forms of art together into one place, and I love it.
That's really awesome. So when you say it brings your different art forms together, how is that? Like, what are you enabled to do uniquely by NFTs in terms of your creativity and art production?
Well, I've like definitely have spent like different periods of my life in different like phases of art, or different like there was like 9 years where I was like a techno DJ. There was like 6 years where I made 7 films like back to back to back. So there's always these different sort of like places or times in art, but with the NFT stuff, I don't know, like making some of the visual stuff, I sort of feel like the fourth wall is gone. Like I can sort of like take these ideas that don't necessarily need to be flushed out in a way like a movie does, where you're then getting like all this money and all these people involved and whatnot. It's just like, it's like my own little personal, it reminds me of like third grade when you got to make those shoe boxes and put the little dioramas, those things, but it just sort of feels like, with the way that the technology is gone and where we've gotten to, like you can actually move your stuff, you can actually like own it digitally, but like the whole tangibility of like what an NFT brings to the whole game is what's like, I don't know, for some reason it seems like it's tying it all together. All the metaverses, all this stuff that's going on and in the space is like crazy. Like it seems to be helping bring, I don't know, like with Upland, like for me, like Upland, like it has been like such a beautiful door to like expose a lot of my art, my films, and my music, everything that I do, to a brand new audience. Like that's what I kind of love about it all, is like it's all brand new. Like if I made the film 10 years ago, but this world hasn't seen it, so it's like a fresh conversation. And so yeah, it's kind of bringing it all together, like the past, the new stuff we got coming out, and the collaborations with the other artists that I'm meeting in the space. Like Mars Utah, who I did the McDuck and Upix video with, and we're working on all sorts of projects now. And yeah, it's like it's the people, the technology. It just seems like it's the right time to really present yourself, and I have a bunch of material to present and display. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And it seems like you and your collaborators are really running the full gamut, right? Like you've gotten some kind of more standard NFTs with images, kind of just the PNGs, and then the video loops, right? Which are getting a ton of hype right now. And then you're also doing some more innovative things with the comic book and some mechanisms there. Is there anything you can tell us about that, kind of how that works?
With the metaphors comic, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's coming for that like I don't actually know, like that I couldn't speak technically on them, like when we
Yeah.
talk about them or when I hear about them, I'm like, it makes sense to me, but I actually can't relay a lot of this stuff back if I'm being honest. So I don't even want to pretend like I know what I'm talking about there. But I do know that there was like some new mechanics and things had to be invented. And there's like, you know, things that have never been done before with like these types of cards you can do. So you know, there's a lot to do with the idea that like Mars really didn't like the idea of like burning art, like to throw things away to create something new. So we sort of created a way to where you're not like burning to throw things away. You're still like those pieces of
Mm.
art are still important in our metaverse or universe or whatever. So that's probably the best thing that I can say about the metaphor stuff. But yeah.
Gotcha. So you guys are working on an evolution kind of the burn mechanic that has gotten popular in the collectibles recently. I really like that framing that, you know, the art is still important. And so
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to hold off and see when you guys announce it, how that's going to work functionally. But
Yeah, I
I
mean, like
clearly look forward to it.
Mars and Ricoria have definitely put out a little bit more information on that, but I need to do a little bit more of my homework and catch up.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, when you're on the creative side, sometimes that's the case, right? You can't follow all the technical stuff. You just got to focus on the making.
Right. Yeah.
So
And I mean, you know, there's so many projects or things that I've got myself into in the last, and it seems like so much of this stuff is coming out now, like with the nifty skateboards, you know, doing the graphics for them was like felt like a dream come true in a lot of ways. And you know, we're like just launched like Lefthouse as a token, and like the whole
yeah,
idea behind that is to like, you know, build a community of artists and musicians and like find ways to help them with their art and by tokenizing and incentivizing them within the community. And you know, that's been really exciting, like because of the Upland Action News, like there's been a community that's starting to grow. It's that channel starting to grow. We have more viewers now. The wheel that we give away NFTs almost every day, and that wheel's starting to get fat and thick full of names. So, and we're starting to get more interesting guests starting to come on and come through the show and stuff. Like today we had the blockchain heroes for the Upland collectibles drop. So we talked to them, and yeah, so there's a lot of things. But you know, and going back to the NFTs and some of the technology, like with the films, like I feel like I'm starting to see like some stuff, some film NFT stuff come out. But you know, I don't know, some other people in the space say that I might be the first person to have mint an entire feature film as an NFT. And you know, like I've been running like the theater out of Upland, and kind of if you go to the theater there, like I'll end up sending you kind of like what I call the showroom reel of the films. I haven't sold any of the features. I've given a couple of them away. Sold like trailers and like what I'm calling moments, like sort of like the NBA Top Shots. We're gonna do
yeah.
like moments like that, like little clips from the films and stuff. So we're working on an official line of that. But yeah, I want to see more film stuff like transpire in the NFT space. I know it's coming. I know I'm seeing little articles here and there, but where are you guys? Where are you?
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Can you give us an example, maybe, of like what you would like to see in terms of films in the NFT space? Are there some, like, you know, kind of unique mechanisms you think that NFTs can be utilized for, or are you thinking more so conventionally, like just minting them as NFTs?
Well, like sort of, I guess like I have a film that we're working on right now. We're getting very close to finishing it. And when we do, I sort of have these weirdo dreams of like maybe only making like 10 copies and making, you know, minting 10 NFTs of this, and you know, stack it out in a way that it has all the bells and whistles, so that if like Netflix comes along and they want to buy it and purchase it and show it on their channel, they would have to buy the NFT, you know. So like I start to feel like, or start to see the scarcity of that, you know, and how that could sort of like flip the whole game, you know. It sort of
Mhm.
brings us back to digging in crates for records again all of a sudden. If there's only 10 copies
Yeah,
of this movie floating around, and like, well, Netflix has one, and like such and such theater whatever, you know, like, so then holy crap, like to own one of those would be insane, you know. But then to own one, you might have the rights to like make copies of that and distribute it, or you know, like what are the deals that could be made there? There's just like with them, with the technology and all that stuff, it just seems like, you know, look at the whole DeFi like sector of everything. Like, why aren't we doing that in everything? I mean, that's like what you guys are doing in Upland. I feel like with the way Spark works and all this stuff, it's like, why isn't there a Spark in the real world? There should be like, you know what I mean? Why isn't there?
Yeah.
There's no reason why that like a token like that you don't spend, you stake to get something done, like could exist or whatnot. So I don't know. I get kind of hyped, and I'm not like I'm not maybe the smartest dude in the world that's gonna like solve like, all right, this is how it goes. But like I see it, you know, like I see that there's probably a billion ways that these things that films can come out, or that we can interact and engage with films because of NFTs that like aren't there yet, you know. So it's all being invented now, I think.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I'll have to keep my eyes open for what people are doing in the film space with NFTs. I definitely look forward to some innovation there. But so turning to your work, which we've now seen in the background rotating, I feel like my brain has been half melting in the best way possible during this interview as your pieces rotate. Oh, now we got the real rotator. Now we see all the pieces. I love it. Cool. So how would you describe your aesthetic style, I guess, more generally, and then specifically in the context of these pieces?
Yeah, I think more generally, I don't know. I sort of I'm like a jack of all trades in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, like I was saying before, like I get bored in one area for too long, or there's too many things that turn me on in this world, and I want to do them all, like music, like film, like make weird art, whatever it is. There's so many things. Like, you know, I'm obsessed with the UFC and like mixed martial arts, and like me and my brother, like because I was obsessed with it, then it was like, well, I should probably turn this into a project. So then me and my brother Emmett started doing the Fight Report MMA, and we did like, I don't know, a bunch of episodes of that, which was sort of, if you will, kind of like the point one of the Upland Action News. You know what I mean? It was like us behind a desk acting like news anchormen and like talking about MMA instead of you know, Upland and NFTs and metaverses and crypto, you know, like what we're doing now. But but you know, a little bit of practice from before, if you will. And then also too, you know, like I acted for over 20 years. So I also have like that in my bag. So that it's pretty comfortable and natural for me to sit there on
Lost you for a second. All right, we had some connection issues here, but we are resuming the interview now. So let's get to the second part of that question. You mentioned kind of the aesthetic overall of what you're kind of seeing in the NFT space, but this collection specifically, the one we're seeing in the background, the one that's going to be up for auction in the Upland metaverse. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What is this collection about? Where does it come from?
Yeah, I think kind of where what I was saying before too is like where I was getting to is like I jump a lot of styles. I've kind of dabbled in different mediums and stuff. And so when I came to doing these pieces right here, like I couldn't get away from the idea of like the whole block explorer in the first place, you know. And I don't know if there's certain pieces or kind of art pieces that I've seen out there and stuff that kind of were inspiring, but not like, this is not something, these are not my normal style. This is the first time that I kind of went in this sort of way. I would say like the very angular and kind of measured moves, if you will. And typically like a lot of my stuff is more like aggressive and maybe a little bit scribblier and a little bit dirtier. So, but I really wanted to kind of go with like this sort of cleaner look to it. And then, you know, there's like all sorts of symbolism that is happening in the pieces, you know, like some of it's pretty obvious and cliche as far as like, you know, we've got our bear and our bull, which represent, you know, like the bear and the bull market and stuff.
The bear. The power of the bear can breathe fear into your soul in a single heartbeat. Perception holds the key to the bear. For the bear is the true emblem of strength, wisdom, and magical healing powers. To master the bear is to master life.
We have a white rabbit and a dark rabbit, and those represent different forms of like rabbit holing, like where you'll go when you go down the hole, when you go down the rabbit hole, where do you end up? Sometimes it's in a positive experience, sometimes you might end up nowhere, or even in worse, in a negative experience.
The White Rabbit. The White Rabbit has led you to and opened the gate to the new world. I know this because you are here staring at the face of the White Rabbit while listening to my voice. As the rabbit runs, the adventure down the hole into the unknown we go. The Dark Rabbit. The night of the rabbit grows dark when one goes rabbiting for too long. Floyd said, "Run, rabbit, run. Dig that hole. Forget the sun. And when at last the work is done, don't sit down. It's time to dig another one." Perhaps Floyd was right. Turn it off. Go to bed.
And then, of course, we have the Golden Llama, which is like, for me, that's a very sacred piece, because it's the reason why I'm sitting here having this interview in the first place. Is the doors that Upland has opened to me. I really wanted to do a piece that sort of like blew a kiss towards the whole Upland metaverse. So that's the Golden Llama there. And yeah, like there's like the video. There's pieces here that come with little poetic voiceovers, if you will, that kind of follow along with the piece, each piece. So yeah, that's the deal.
Yeah, gotcha. Awesome. I just listened to those right before this call. So my follow-up there would be, what do you intend the voice to impart? What is the purpose of the voice in experiencing these pieces?
Well, like kind of like the question that you're asking, or like what do they represent? What do they mean? It was actually, you were the one that gave me the idea for this, is to like put something to it. Like sometimes, typically it's just like left up to you to interpret what's there, but and still I would say that that's the same even with the voice pieces that are in there. I think
Right.
the voice pieces are maybe like, well, they might make you think differently than what I'm saying, or than what you're seeing when you look at them. They might give you a different perspective. Perspective's the key to all of it, I think. So yeah, I just thought it's fun. Like, again, like here's another way that we can, deliver a piece of art that then comes with another piece of art, telling like maybe a portion of the story or something like that, coming from the creator's mind. I don't know who doesn't want that. Wouldn't that be great if you could have like one of those for like the Picasso painting, or something, some random off to the side little video piece that where Picasso's telling you what his little weird thoughts, and something like that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
The layers, it's all about the layers. It makes it more collectible,
Yeah.
more raw, more interesting, more scarce, more tangible.
Yeah, I hear you. It packages in more of the the art experience, the encounter with the art, right? It's difficult
That's it.
when artists sometimes just leave it up to interpretation a little bit too much, and that can make accessibility of art and the artistic experience very difficult. But the fact
Mhm.
that it's being packaged in this way is very fascinating, right? There's the core pieces, there's the background and the movement, and then there's the voiceover that all kind of work together to create a really unique ambiance, which is what I've appreciated so far in these pieces. So
Right on.
following up on that, we are going to be auctioning these pieces off to the Upland community. For the players, the very lucky players that are able to get one of these pieces, is there something you would like them to know or to keep in mind about these pieces after they purchase them? Any message for them that you'd like them to walk away with?
Yeah, I think the message is in the piece, I mean, I think the
Yeah.
messages are pretty obvious in these pieces. And you know, like especially with like the bear and the bull, like these aren't the first bear and bulls to be done in the space, you know. It's probably they're not the
Right.
first rabbits to be done in this space, you know, but that is exactly why I wanted to kind of go after these animals too, is like, you know, other people have done it. It's not normally my style to go in that direction, but like, what if I can do it in my own way? You know, what if what
Mhm.
happens when I do it? You know, like that's what I wanted. So it's just, I don't know, take a risk, be ballsy. You know, I don't know, and enjoy originality. Find your inner strength. So that's the message of the piece for the people.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's really beautiful and really important, especially, you know, in the NFT space where there's so much production and so many different pieces and aesthetics, and it's hard to, as a collector and consumer, to even figure out sometimes, like, you know, what is good, what am I actually into, or what's resonating with my voice, what am I feeling, experiencing these pieces. So I think those are all good things to keep in mind, both as an artist and also, you know, as
Yeah.
someone who experiences art.
Well, as a creator of art, I feel like that's, you know, sort of how I get to like wanting to do different styles and work with the different aesthetics is, you know, as a kid going to the movies, whatever the movie was about, like I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to be an astronaut. It wasn't that I wanted to be those things. I wanted to be the person creating and playing and pretending like I was these things. And it's sort of like that same way with art. When you see, I get moved by, you know, certain pieces or styles, and I'm like, God, how the hell did they do that? I need to know, and I want to dabble in it. I want to go down that hole a little bit. So it's important, I think, to for me to mix it up. You know, like it's all a part of one thing for me. I understand some people have to stay in one
Yeah.
lane and focus on one thing, and that's cool. But I decided to make it all one lane. That's how I'm trying to go. It's just one big lane, baby.
There we go. That's probably my favorite message. The takeaway for these art pieces. This is the one lane collection
Yeah.
of masterpiece NFTs from Lefthouse. I like it. I think we've got some good marketing language. We'll have to workshop a little bit here for the auction.
All right.
But
I like
cool.
it.
It's very exciting. These are definitely unique pieces, and I haven't seen anything like them yet in the NFT
Cool.
space or beyond. So I have one more kind of line of inquiry before we wrap up, and that's, you know, so you're collaborating with the Upland design team to convert some of these into explorers. And now you mentioned that there's already sort of an inspiration of the explorer style kind of in these pieces. So how do you
Yeah.
feel knowing that there's going to be these really cohesive pieces as explorers, which will also be NFTs, right? Which are going to turn into NFTs very soon. And your pieces, which on a long enough timeline will be shown as art in collections, in homes, and possibly even in art galleries in Upland itself, right? So I guess, how do you feel about the relationship between these pieces and the explorers in the Upland world?
Yeah, it's the idea of like, you know, having them be in the game, or like it's gonna be fun to turn it on and see one of these things floating around or whatever. That's gonna be a weird thing. The thing that excites me the most about it is like, all right, this is a collection of 5 pieces, but there's only one of one, you know, there's one only that is gonna happen and go out there in the world. And that's kind of like, oh, that feels like when you have like, you know, like a property in Upland that you don't think is going to sell and it sells, and it's like you've marked it up kind of high. There's this feeling of like, did I just screw up? Like, wait, why did I price it too low? Like I know that was the
Yeah.
point. I was like trying to sell it, but like I feel now, like I feel like I'm going to feel that way with this. Like, oh man, I've fallen in love with all of these pieces, and it's going to be hard to let them go and say goodbye to them, and like, no, but to know that I can turn on the old game and hopefully see one or two of them floating around will be awesome. That'll be super cool. Yeah, like, it was always a dream of mine to be a part of like a video game when I was a kid, you know, or like work for a video game or something. So like this is kind of like maybe even cooler than that, is like having a piece of me floating around in a game kind of somewhere. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, you're already a big part of the game, a big part of the community. For those that don't know, the Upland Action News runs, is it 5 days a week, every week? Is it every
Five
single week
days a
now?
week, Monday through Friday, 1
Monday through
p.m.
Friday.
PST every day.
That's amazing. You've been getting great guests. You guys have been having your own contests. It's a whole kind of community phenomena in itself that you have, and we're lucky
Yeah,
to be the foundation of it over at Upland. We feel, very
absolutely.
privileged to have the effort you put into it, representing Upland and, attracting new members, informing our community, and getting them excited about all sorts of creative and, collector-oriented, community-oriented aspects of the metaverse.
Yeah, no, bottom line is like, I'm having a lot of fun. So I can't thank you, and I can't thank like everybody who's watching this. If you're watching this, that's awesome, first of all. And yeah, thanks for watching the show and all that stuff. Like it doesn't go without you guys. And like I mean that like it doesn't go without Upland, it doesn't go without the community. It's all like it all goes together and all it's one thing. So I'm happy as hell to be a part of it.
Well, that's awesome, Lefthouse. I really appreciate that. I think that's a wonderful place to end this conversation. So we dug into a little bit of your thoughts about the NFT space, your own aesthetic and what's been enabled by NFTs for you, and then these pieces specifically, and some of your thoughts on Upland. So I think you got a lot of great content there, and I think it's going to really, frame up this artist spotlight in this auction. And I think players are going to be really excited to understand your perspective more. So. Again, Lefthouse, thank you so much for the great conversation. And yeah, I will see you around the metaverse.
See you around the metaverse. Thanks a lot.
Peace, brother.